Oi, budge!
Why do so many humans throw good money after bad? Think investing or gambling. Today on Budge we talk loss aversion with Tom Matthews from Pemba Capital on why us humans just can't help ourselves. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple or wherever you're listening and let us know what you think in the comments.
You're literally brain damaged if you gamble a lot.
Oh really?
And in particular if you're losing a lot and you've got this frantic sort of loss aversion going on. It's just remarkable the impact it has on you.
We do a lot, tell stories to demonstrate how we've helped other founders in similar situations and ultimately almost reverse that whole loss aversion sort of questioning and mindset. What will you lose if you don't partner with Pemba? What will you lose if your competitors, partner with somebody else and they get ahead of you? They've got a huge amount of capital to invest in their business.
The world is full of this hustle culture where they sort of read about this on the internet, they get into crypto and people think they can trade their way through crypto to become a millionaire, when in reality most people are just literally chasing losses. Well, welcome back Tom Matthews, our good mate here on Budge. Thanks mate for joining us again to talk about loss aversion. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Matthews.
All right.
Dr. Darren.
One country which has less than 0.5% of the world's population has 20% of the pokie machines or gambling machines. Which country is that?
Vatican City.
The Vatican City. It's not the Vatican City.
Oh.
Any thoughts where that might be?
Half a percent of the world's population.
Less than 0.5% of the population has over 20% of the world's gambling machines.
So that's a 4,000% higher than you'd expect.
And we're actually, I'll give you a clue, we're sitting on it right now. Australia has 1/5 of the world's gambling machines. And here's one for you, Tom. Australia is the first country to deregulate gambling. We are the biggest spenders by population. Which country do you reckon is the biggest spender overall on gambling?
China?
Both right, actually. China's 2, the USA is number 1, followed by Japan, Italy, and in 5th place, despite our small population, is Australia. But we are the biggest spenders by a country mile. We spend over nearly $1,000 per head, or we lose nearly $1,000 per head.
Yeah. Man, woman, and child.
Man, woman, child. Followed by Singapore, which is around $700 per year.
In fact, I have lost a child in gambling.
But we are a country of gamblers, which has. I know you sat too, didn't you?
I was trying to get it was for 3 goats, to be fair. It was worth the gamble.
We're a country of gamblers, and of course, private equity, Tom, has nothing to do with gambling. But you have talked previously about loss aversion on your social media. Mate, what's loss aversion?
Yeah, because
what's it got to do with gambling and private equity?
Obviously you guys are the experts, so I should be asking you that question. But my understanding of loss aversion is it's a sort of human heuristic or bias, which basically means that people will do almost sort of twice as much to avoid losing something as they will to gaining something.
Now, look, you can see he's got an optimistic bent, because I'd say it's from people feel twice as much pain by losing something as they do from gaining something. So it's the same statement, the same data and the same figure, but a slightly different perspective.
What do you mean they feel twice as much pain?
You literally, it feels bad, or up to 2.5 times more. You try and avoid feeling that you feel it 2.5 times more if you lose a dollar than if you win a dollar.
Right. So if you win $50, you feel great.
Yeah.
If you lose $50, you feel 2.5 times as
worse.
Bad. Yeah. Okay. I thought loss aversion was all that notion of chasing losses to regain where you were.
Well, that loss aversion, I guess, would you say, is that what drives gambling? Is that chasing losses? Because we hate the pain of losing. Lossing is a new word. It's like where you floss with money. But true story.
Yeah. Or you're that wealthy.
Or you wearing a G-string. You hate the feeling of losing so much. You've just lost $50 at the roulette table, so you bet and bet and bet to win back that $50. Because it hurts more than you've just won $50. You're not going to go, oh, great, I've won it, I'm walking away. It's like, oh, I'll try and get another little bit of a buzz there's almost a desperation to it, I guess.
So in your world, Tom, then loss aversion, and how
Will you shut up, Tom? You just keep interrupting us.
That was my pivot.
Letting me in.
Come on, Tom, you joined us for the first 5-10 minutes as you talked about your gambling and giving away your children. So in your world, then, the way the humans behave, we see there's probably that similarity in gambling as there is to investing. Do you see then this notion of loss aversion when it comes to people investing, or even when they want to sell their companies?
Yeah, you probably see it more in the public markets or in areas like cryptocurrency investing or trading than you do in private equity. You do a bit in private equity, but I guess how it sort of manifests itself in public markets is people end up it's almost that fear of missing out. So when there's a bubble, an asset bubble like there arguably has been with cryptocurrency recently, and people are sort of seeing these Bitcoin millionaires overnight, and they rush in because they want to they obviously want a part of the action, and then there's a wobble in the price, and then they end up losing, and then arguably they sell at the wrong times. They sell as the price goes down, and then they're sort of sat on losses, and then as it goes up again, that fear of missing out kicks in, and then they buy again at the peaks. So really, yeah, you see it probably a little bit more in the public markets and other sort of more liquid investments.
Whilst we're on this subject, do you trade crypto at all, Tom?
Absolutely not. No.
No, I bought $5,000 once, which is probably then ended up being worth about $2,500, I think, and that was it. I thought, you know what, not interested in this. It's just ridiculous. But I guess that is the classic place of loss aversion. It's one of those places. It's almost sits in that get rich quick scheme you're talking about. Is that you see these Bitcoin millionaires, and it feels though the world is full of this hustle culture where they sort of read about this on the internet. They get into crypto, and people think they can trade their way through crypto to become a millionaire. When in reality, most people are just literally chasing losses to recover. And it's actually, it seems to have become a whole subculture in its own right, this whole crypto thing. Do you think there's a future for it, mate, given your background?
Look, I couldn't possibly comment. I can't sort of predict the future, but if you think about sort of
why did we get him on if he's not going to give us?
Yeah. We just hope we can tell us which coin to get.
The core of what a currency is, it's a store of wealth, and it's a medium of exchange. And I've never bought anything on cryptocurrency with cryptocurrency. So I don't know people buying houses or cars. So I think it sort of falls down at certainly the second hurdle, if not the first hurdle. So I'm not convinced personally.
Yeah,
but loss aversion impacts us in so many other ways in everyday life, but also with like if people are selling to you, or you're buying a business or investing in a group, and you've done so much due diligence, 6 months of due diligence and you've found something bad, or they've done loads of due diligence, they're exhausted from it, they just want to get back to running the business, and then you go, we're actually going to offer you 50% less. There's this loss aversion. I've invested so much time in it, I might as well take that, and they don't count it as a sunk cost or something gone in the past. It still plays on your mind that I don't want to miss out on that effort I've expended.
Is that what happens, or do people go, they actually feel as though they've lost that much and that they don't want to do it now?
No, I don't. Well, that's the question, I suppose, for Tom. Have you ever felt that or witnessed it?
Yeah, it's probably more the latter, to sort of Paul's point. We see all the time, unfortunately, where something gets uncovered in due diligence. Maybe the numbers aren't quite as had been represented, and the founder of the business sort of struggles with the construct or concept that actually their business isn't worth what was struck and what was agreed at the outset, and needs to be or should be adjusted accordingly. And then ultimately, it's a negotiation, and it depends if you're willing to sort of wear the difference, or if they're willing to wear the difference. But yeah, absolutely, it's probably more the latter.
Yeah, I feel that when you're knackered and you've invested months and months into something, and somebody then suddenly offers you a lot less, you're much more likely to accept it, because it's like, oh God, well, I've done all this already, so I might as well accept it to get something from the effort I've expended on it. So
Yeah, but you're a psychologist, so what would you know about how people think?
yeah, I just give up.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, and also in casinos, I found it interesting when looking into loss aversion, and because if we've got a loss aversion as a bias, gambling shouldn't exist, but it does for a number of reasons. One is to show off to others, and we all think we can beat the system and say, "Oh, we're cleverer than you," or "We can beat you at gambling." But some of the tricks they use in casinos are fascinating. So using money is like a token.
I was going to ask you about this. So this notion that having a token, that might be worth. I don't know. I haven't been to a casino. You and I went to one about 6 or 7 years ago. I think it was the last time I've been to a casino.
With Mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Having a token saying it's worth $250 as opposed to putting $250 down.
Yes.
Psychologically, that stops you recognizing that as money, I suppose, does it?
Yeah. Well, more importantly, is they use chips.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't feel real. And like if you got a $25 chip that you're throwing on, like Paul did, it was outrageous. Really, I couldn't believe it. All this not-for-profit money you use, don't go there. I'm joking, obviously, but you wouldn't think of putting down what does $25 buy you? Quite a lot, and you're putting 10 of these on. I saw so many people just putting clumps of them on. It's like you've just put a car on red. And if it was that sort of tangible thing you were putting down, then you'd hesitate with the betting so much. But because it's a token and it's not real, just like in online gambling, I guess, as well.
How do you see loss aversion manifesting in investments, though, Tom? I mean, in terms of when people sell, when people don't sell, realizing losses, accepting that realization of losses. We take that psychology from gambling. How do you see it playing out with investing?
Yeah, so I guess where we play, which is in the private markets, not the public markets, it's more when you're dealing with a founder or a shareholder, it's more them can drive the decision not to partner with a growth investor like Pemba. It's that sort of fear of what if I lose everything, or what if I lose out. So I think that's sort of where it probably manifests itself the strongest. So we do a lot to talk about to tell stories, to demonstrate how we've helped other founders in similar situations, and ultimately almost reverse that whole loss aversion sort of questioning and mindset to say, well, what will you lose if you don't partner with Pemba? What will you lose if your competitors partner with somebody else and they get ahead of you? They've got a huge amount of capital to invest in their business. So yeah, I think it's a very, very strong, powerful emotion or driver of human decision making, and used the right way, it can work to your favor, but ultimately it can lead to inertia if you're not mindful to it.
No, that's really interesting, because of course what you're battling against as well is this endowment effect, that if you've got something in your hand, if you own something, it's worth a lot more to you than if you don't. So people, if they're arbitrarily given something, and then you say, how much would you sell that for? They invariably say a lot more than other people that don't have it. And you ask them, how much would you pay for that? And
that's so true.
It's really weird. So if you own something, but this is one of the commercial reasons why firms say, we give you a 30-day free trial. If you don't like it, hand it back. And it's like, and you get used to it and you value it, and then you're averse to the loss of that thing that you've got. So it can be used a lot. Oh, and hotels and places like that online use it a lot, don't they? This loss aversion. Only 2 rooms left. 18 people are looking at this room.
Yeah, it's very clever.
The other great example, Darren, is a company like Dropbox. So obviously, they offer their sort of base product for free, and they get you using it and they get you used to it. But all of a sudden, you very quickly run out of storage. And if you want to keep using it, and you want to keep using it at the level that you did before, well, then you've got to pay the monthly subscription.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I guess this might be more accounted for you, Mr. Psychologist or behavioral scientist. I don't know you. Yeah. What do we do then? How do we counter loss aversion? And that's probably the mother of all questions, then, isn't it? In terms of how do we stop ourselves chasing losses gambling? How do we stop ourselves chasing crypto losses?
Yeah, I mean, I looked up some stuff that what happens to gamblers that are constantly, chasing losses, and there are a number of different studies that show, so when you lose something, particularly money, it actually, the regions in your brain that are impacted are ones that display physical hurt, not just so it hurts when you lose money. But it says that there are also dysfunctions in terms of if you're a heavy gambler and doing it all the time, you have long-term alterations in your neuropsychology. So these different studies I looked at. So decision-making and control are impacted, in other words, executive performance. Impairs your assessment of future results, yes. Poor interpretation of events and results, things going on in general around you. Cognitive rigidity. Poorer finding ways out of problems, worse memory, weaker concentration, less cooperation. So that these things, you are literally brain damaged if you gamble a lot.
Oh, really?
And in particular, if you're losing a lot and you've got this frantic sort of loss aversion going on. So it's just remarkable the impact it has on you. And
so it's the same, literally, can we apply that to crypto?
What do you mean?
Crypto. So people that have got so embedded in crypto and keep losing and chasing, would their mentality be the same?
Yes, yeah, exactly that. They're not. You just get so caught up in it that your brain's not functioning properly. And the loss of money, I think the latest figures were from 2018 in the United States, is $120 billion a year are lost to games of chance in America. Officially, I think those figures from a group called H2. So unofficially, there's probably a lot more.
Yeah.
But it would cost $170 billion a year to end world poverty. So just the States is probably losing what you'd need to end world poverty.
Yeah, just by gambling.
Yeah, amazing. So, but yeah, loss aversion is something you can harness for good if you're marketing. But it's just a human bias. But I think just being aware of it, would you say, Tom, allows you to counter it?
I think that's right. And if you go back to the sort of public markets or even crypto example, one way to counter it is, rather than trying to time the market and get in at the bottom and sell at the top, is just set up a monthly direct debit where the money goes out systematically every single month, invests, whether it's a peak or a trough, it kind of doesn't matter. If you're investing for the longer term and you think there's longer term sort of sustainable growth, and it goes to the old saying, it's about time in the market, not timing the market. And I think that's, very, very wise advice.
Oh, brilliant. Hang on a minute. Why is it called crypto? What's it got to do with coffins and burial?
I have no idea. That's
Put in the comments below, any viewers.
We get some deep thoughts. That's like the thought from the other podcast. Can Ghost and the Zombie the same person exist at the same time? I haven't been able to stop thinking about that. Now I'm going to be thinking about crypto. Tom, thank you so much for joining us again, mate. It's been lovely chatting to you about loss aversion. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. Cheers, guys.
Thanks,
and
mate.
You liar. See you, mate. It's been great to see you.
Take care.
Conscious of the time, mate. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Oi, budge.